I think this game described a lot of emotions. It probably got a lot of emotions out of all of us today. There was a lot of anger. There was a lot of excitement, just wanting to run through a brick wall. There was frustration, like I said. It was just a game full of emotions, and just like the Sixers coming up clutch, Joel Embiid coming up clutch at the end of the game against the Miami Heat. And like I said, this game was full of excitement, frustration, you name it, all the emotions in the world. And the Sixers managed to come out of this game with a win. They forced overtime late. Just Isaiah Joe, Joel Embiid late in the game hitting those shots, tying the game, forcing overtime. Then you got Dakota Mathias hitting one of the game-winning jumpers at the end, that game-winning three. What? Oh, oh boy, that game was so exciting. That game was invigorating. Oh my god, I can't get over that game. But there are so many things to go over with this game. Joel Embiid's dominating performance. He was very slow to start off this game, but that second half and the overtime, oh, he picked up the heat. He definitely picked up the heat in this game. Danny Green stepped up in today's game. He ties the Sixers franchise record for most threes in a game with 9. And then other players, like I said, Tyrese Maxey, another impressive performance, being in the starter role. Just Tyrese Maxey is legit, man. He is going to grow into something special. I love the way this kid is playing it. Isaiah Joe was pretty intriguing at this point. It just for the minutes that he's being given right now, he is showcasing something. He is definitely doing something right here. He hitting some clutch shots at the same time as well. Isaiah Joe really impressed me in today's game. Mike Scott had a nice little performance right there. He wasn't really consistent from the threes, but he managed to hit the shots when he was able to, so that was a nice performance right there out of him. And I guess the one person that just really frustrated me and really frustrated everyone was Ben Simmons. It just felt like, even though he had 12 assists in today's game, he was creating space on the floor for guys like Mike Scott and Danny Green and for everyone else that was taking shots in this game. But it just felt like he wasn't being, I would say, aggressive enough. But then you could also look at the Miami Heat's game plan saying, okay, let's clog the paint up, make it really hard for guys like Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid to score in the paint, and then we'll just leave the guys like Danny Green and Mike Scott to try and take threes. We'll live with that every day of the week. And I feel like that was the type of game plan. They were like forcing the Sixers to have those guys like Mike Scott and Danny Green take shots from beyond the arc. That's what it felt like the entire time, and what did feel like their game plan. And yes, it was very frustrating that Ben Simmons probably wasn't being as aggressive as probably you would have liked. He only took, two field goal shots in this game, and he only went to the line once, even though he made both of those chances. He just really wasn't aggressive on the point side. He only had 5 points in today's game. 5 points, like I said, he only had 2 field goal attempts. He went 1 out of 2 from free throw, and he had 6 rebounds and 12 assists, and he also had 6 turnovers. Turnovers were also very killer in this game. In total, the Sixers had, I think, 16 or 17 turnovers in this game in total. So, yeah, and also Ben Simmons fouls out midway through the fourth quarter. So, one, you don't have Ben Simmons at the end of the fourth quarter when you really needed him to, and you did not have him for the entire overtime. Thank God Joel Embiid went off when he did, or the Sixers probably wouldn't have won this game. And speaking of Joel Embiid, his stat line on the night, 45 points. He went off. 16 out of 23. He didn't hit any free throws. He was 0-3 from there. Perfect on his free throw attempts, 13 out of 13. 16 rebounds, 4 assists, and he had 4 turnovers. Joel Embiid, like I said, in that first half, only had 10 points. But then moving after the first half into that second half and the overtime, he had a total of 35 points. Joel Embiid stepped up. He woke up from that really abysmal first half that he was having. He took the team on his back, basically, and drove them to this victory. Joel Embiid, when he takes over a game, it is something glorious to watch. Perfection. Absolute perfection. I love Joel Embiid. I love watching it. We all love watching when he is able to take over a game. And like I said, for other players on the stat sheet, Danny Green had himself a night. He took a lot of three-pointer shots in this game. He was 10 out of 25 from field goal. 9 out of 21 from the three-pointer. He didn't get any free throw attempts. 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 6 turnovers. Like I said, he tied the franchise record for most three-pointers in the game. He had 9, and he had his chances to get that 10th and break the franchise record. He wasn't really able to get it late in the game right there. And Danny Green, he was hitting his three-pointers early in this game too. And then he got a little bit inconsistent, but it was a nice little change of pace for Danny Green in this game because the past few games he was just struggling to hit his shots. It was just not really a beautiful scene the past few games with him. Thank God he is able to get some confidence in this game, hit his shots when he needs to, and he helped his team when he hit the crucial shots when he needed to in this game. Mike Scott had 16 points on the night, 6 out of 16, 4 of 12 from three-point line. No free-throw attempts, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 0 turnovers. Tyrese Maxey, 16 points on the night, 7 out of 18, 1 out of 6 from three-point line, 1 out of 3 from the free throw, 3 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 turnover. And for all the minutes that Tyrese Maxey is getting, and turnovers have been one of the biggest concerns for the Sixers this season. Basically, turnovers have been one of their major flaws basically for the past few seasons now. But for all the minutes that Tyrese Maxey has been getting, I think in over like the past few games, I think he only has like 6 or 7 turnovers in total. And Tyrese Maxey, he played a lot of minutes in tonight's game. He played a total of 36 minutes, only had 1 turnover. And one of those shots that really impressed me, he was going up for the layup. He missed it, took the rebound off the center right there, and he put it right back up for the layup and into the basket. I just like put goosebumps on my body, like, whoa, Tyrese, what are you doing right there, buddy? You didn't have to do him like that. And it just, Tyrese Maxey has been really impressive in this game. Just really impressive in the past few starts, basically. And with this whole Sixers situation with COVID-19, I know a lot of people are really angry with the NBA right now, forcing the Sixers to play the past few games or so. I'm definitely in one of the ones with the past few games, definitely, especially the one against the Denver Nuggets, where the Sixers probably shouldn't have played that game. But I digress on that situation. It has been showcasing some moments for a guy like Tyrese Maxey and also Isaiah Joe to showcase what they have on the court too. And speaking of Isaiah Joe, he had 13 points on the night, 4 out of 10, 4 out of 10 from the three-point line, so basically all of his shots were from three-point range. 1 out of 1 on the free throw, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 0 turnovers. Like I said, late in the game, he hit that clutch three-point shot, I think with 24, 23 seconds left or something like that. And then it was basically a mad scramble to get the ball back. And then it finds its way into Joel Embiid's hands and he ties the game with 3 seconds left in the game. Man, that was just one of those crazy sequences, man. It was so bizarre. It was just it was at that moment when Isaiah Joe hit the 3. At first, before that happened, I was like, okay, this game is over. They're probably not going to win it. Just because at that pace in the game, the Sixers were not hitting any of their shots. I think Miami, they were on a 17 to maybe 3 run or something like that. I think in a span of 4 or 5 minutes, the Sixers couldn't hit any of their field goals. It was just abysmal at that stretch in the fourth quarter, especially when they didn't have Ben Simmons on the floor at all either. They just couldn't hit anything. And then also Tyrese Maxey fouls out of the game too. So you don't have Ben Simmons, Tyrese Maxey at the end of the fourth quarter and the overtime. But the Sixers, they managed to hit their shots late, and they managed to tie the game. And when that Isaiah Joe shot went in, I was just like, whoa, hold up. I got out of my seat, and I just stood up and watched the television the entire time. I was like, okay, they possibly have something going for them right here. And then Joel Embiid hits the shot, and I just had to pump my fist, because that was just something really amazing right there. The forced the overtime, man. Like I said, that was a really exciting ending to that game. Really exciting. And just like I said with Ben Simmons, just really not that impressive. He really was frustrating tonight, especially just not getting to the line, not getting in the paint, just being that aggressive guy, even though he did have 12 assists. You got to give him credit for that. He was creating space for his other shooters like Danny Green and Mike Scott, but just he needs to be more aggressive. And this is definitely one of those types of games where the Ben Simmons hate crowd is going to multiply by mass tons and say we need to get this guy out of town and trade him for James Harden. And I don't want to get into that conversation at all, because I don't think it'd be very idiotic to trade Ben Simmons because of all the other skills that he has that he can bring you to a basketball team. It's just, that's a whole nother topic for another day, and that's definitely going to be something discussed tomorrow after the bad performance that he had in this game. And then also Dakota Mathias, even though His only shot, his only hit of the game was late in that overtime when he hit that 3-pointer. And I was like, okay, okay, take it right there, Dakota. You had that 3 points in the game, 1 out of 4 from field goal, 1 out of 3 from the 3-point range. No 3-throw attempts, he missed both of them. And he had 1 rebound, no assists, no turnovers. Hey, he hit the shot when it mattered. He definitely did. And Dwight Howard also he had oh god, I'm like losing my thought process right here. Dwight Howard had 10 points on the night. It just felt like you really didn't see Dwight Howard that much at the end of the game, especially in the overtime. He did play a little bit with Ben Simmons, did come out, but really was, I guess, more at the end of the game. He wasn't really there. And then I know there's a little bit of critical things with Dwight Howard that when people try to pass him the ball, he always drops it. He always tips it. It goes out of bounds. I don't want to get into that right there, but just going into this game, the Miami Heat, they've been having difficult situation with COVID as well. When you don't have Jimmy Butler on the floor, they're basically not dressing their main starting rotation right here. But guys like Tyler Hero, man, that guy is legit. And then you also got Duncan Robinson going off for the Heat tonight as well. But Tyler Hero, man, he is fun to watch. He had 34 points on the night, 12 out of 26, 3 out of 9 from the 3-point range, 7 out of 8 free throws, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Tyler Hero was very fun to watch. It was very frustrating too because there were just situations throughout the entire game where fouls were called when there shouldn't have been, especially one of those fouls late in the game in the overtime where it was Duncan Robinson shooting the 3, and I think it was Matthias that was covering him, and he just had his arm up the entire time and didn't touch him, and the foul was called, so he went to the line for 3. And I was just like, the refereeing in this game was very suspect. Very, very suspect. But just Tyler Hero, like I said, very fun to watch. It was a very fun performance, but there's also like some issues that I still have with this game, especially in that first half. Guys like Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, they just looked kind of lackadaisical. Like I said, Ben Simmons just not being really aggressive. Joel Embiid wasn't really doing anything. He only had 10 points. He was missing some of his shots. But thankfully, in the second half, that's when he turned it up. And when you get late in the game, that's when it really matters. And that's when Joel Embiid decided to take over the game, which was very nice. And totals for tonight's game, field goal percentage for the Sixers, they shot 49%. From 3-point range, they shot 34.5%, 17 turnovers in total. Ben Simmons, Tyrese Maxey, they both fouled out, and thankfully the Sixers were still managed to win this game. And like I said, the shooting drought in the final minutes of the game, I think it was like midway through the fourth quarter where the Sixers, I think they were up like 110-98 at one point. And then they were eventually up only by 2 points, like 112-110. So basically, I think through a stretch of like 4.5 to 5 minutes, the Sixers just couldn't hit any shots at all. So at that point, it was very concerning because you were just like, okay, are they just going to blow this game? But they didn't. They didn't. But that is very concerning. But in the end, they managed to win a game, but it probably shouldn't have been as close just because the Heat didn't really have a full roster right there. But I know there's a whole situation right now with the NBA. They're postponing a lot of games right now. I think the Boston Celtics had a couple of postponed games too. And there's a lot of Sixers fans right now complaining, why isn't Adam Silver just not postponing any of the Sixers games right now? I know it has something to do with the amount of players that you have on a roster to start a game. I think you have to have the minimum of 8 in the Sixers, and every game they had a minimum of 8 or something like that. I know I do believe that the Sixers, like against Denver, they shouldn't have played that game. The game yesterday, they probably shouldn't have started either. But I guess we're just at a point right now where the NBA is forcing some teams to play games. I'm really not going to get into that discussion right there. But just overall, this game was very entertaining, very frustrating, and just, oh boy, Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is so fun to watch. Just flat out fantastic. Very, very impressive. I love everything that Joel Embiid does. I really do. Thank God he stepped it up and he took over the game. So, I want to get your thoughts on this game. What are your thoughts on the Sixers game as a whole? Your thoughts on Joel Embiid's game? Danny Green, your thoughts on Ben Simmons and his poor performance tonight? I want to hear them all. Even your thoughts on the Heat's performance, Tyler Hero for a fact. So I want to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to leave your comment down in the comment section. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to check out the Painted Lounge, which I am a part of. They just wrapped up their Sixers watch party live stream. They're going to be doing that for every game the rest of the season. Same thing with the Flyers games when they start up tomorrow, so it's going to be a very exciting time there. Don't forget to check them out. Their links will be in the description below. Don't forget to check out the Florida Podcast merchandise website. That link will also be in the description below. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.